Welcome to MCT Podcast, Episode 8. We are back with the Roundtable. Chuck has returned from the land of Florida.
Woohoo! Yeah,
And,
I was tired of that really warm weather.
Yeah, he really enjoys it. You know, we call him Jack Frost, basically. You know, he loves the cold. You know. Definitely not. But
What I really want to talk about today is just what's happening out there in the automotive world about how all these other instructors are out there and are making a living, and a lot of those folks are just, when you talk about training and we talk about behavior change, that's not really what they're about. They're more motivational more than anything, and there's a time and place for motivational kind of speakers or guys coming in trying to do a rah-rah session for your staff, but when you talk about real behavior change, that's not it. I mean, we've been talking about that for 50 years, that you do one-day seminars, they just don't change behavior, they just don't work. Maybe people pick up one or two good ideas, but outside of that, and then the motivation, real life kicks in after that, and the motivation is gone after a week or less. So it's a lot of money people spend on bringing people into their organizations, and the results don't last very long, if at all.
so when we talk about permanent change, you can see how, one of these motivators will come in, they'll really inspire something, and then, life will hit you, you get distracted, and it doesn't last. What are some of the features within MCT that are going to make it last longer and make it that consistent change that does not go away?
Well, it's just that. It's the platform that drives the change, but it's an everyday change. We do talk a little bit about sports, and what sports teams do every day is they practice. It just amazes me how sometimes we as owners of organizations and owners of business, we don't look at it that way. But we should be every morning waking up going, what practice do I need to do today? And how do I get my people to practice what they should be doing, so when it's game day, that's when the store hours are open, what are my people doing? Are they doing the behaviors I need them to do it? Are they blocking and tackling the basic things extremely well? And that's what our platform really permeates throughout the organization and drives that culture of learning, because it's every day. It's constant, repeatable behaviors each and every day.
So you've got a lot of experience. You for a time would go along.
Is that a way to call me old?
No, if I wanted to call you old, I would have just done it.
That was called old. Okay, got it. Yeah, I have a lot of experience.
Yes, you're very established in the world of training, and you did a lot of that for a time, right?
I did.
You went around doing that. I mean, have you what about that, right? I mean, why is that such an appealing model for people, right? I mean,
well, it's quick, it's easy, and organizations. I was grateful for the career I had when I was out there in dealerships training and training other trainers and doing that kind of stuff. And you really feel when you have the mentality of being an instructor, you really do have that feeling you're helping people and you're getting. But deep down, there's not an instructor out there, I don't care who it is, that's in there going into car dealerships or own companies that have people going into car dealerships. You really deep down know it's a short-term thing. So, it's a great thing to do, but again, when you're looking at long-term results, it just doesn't produce it. Never has. Yeah. I'm not sure if that answered your question or not. I don't know.
No, it really did. I mean, I was, it's one of those things, right, where we come up against it all the time, right, where that is kind of the expectation, though, of what training is you bring somebody in, they fix your problems, and then you move on, right? You checked the box. You did your duty. You did your job, right? Your people are trained now, right? Come on, we're good to go. And I guess I just wanted to figure out, why. And you said it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's the check the box, those words you just mentioned. Yeah, we used to say it all the time. Well, we checked the box, we got training done. And they also, I get a kick out of organizations as well. Well, they'll do the shotgun approach from training. And the shotgun approach is that it doesn't matter if somebody needs training or not. The guy's coming in or the gal's coming in to do training. So they send everybody through the training, which is absolutely ludicrous, because there's a percentage of their people that don't need it. So think about what that does to their mentality. If you know you're good at something and you can do the behavior, and all of a sudden you're forced to go through training, you then become somewhat of a cancer to everybody else. I don't need this training. I don't need. So everybody all of a sudden starts going, I don't need this training. I don't need this training. When a good percentage of them do, but you're sending, the shotgun approach is where you're just blasting away trying to get training to everybody, and it's not real specific goal or role oriented training that it needs to be. So there's a real issue with all those processes or thinking that goes into who should come in and train my individuals and my people to make it most effective and to make it last.
Yeah, so you said basically the shotgun training there kind of spreads this negativity, or can spread negativity,
sure,
right?
Absolutely.
When it's not matching the individual needs of all the different learners that are present. So how do you then go about building like a positive, a change, right? How do you get that positivity flowing so that the veteran's sitting there going, oh, this is actually kind of useful, or hey, actually let me spread some of my knowledge in this training that can help everybody.
Well, I think that's where team practice, in our platform, where the team practices come into play, where folks they don't have to necessarily volunteer to do the role plays themselves because they know they can do the behavior, but they certainly can then help all the, let's say, younger folks that haven't done that behavior as long or haven't done the job for as long as they have. They can get involved in helping because it's also basic human nature that people want to help. I know it doesn't sometimes always look that way in our world today, but people really do want to help other individuals.
Open up the news, and that's the last thing. Come on,
that's a great point. But so people want to help. So that's where our team practices place because you get the whole group, and that's where it drives that behavior change that we're talking about. It drives the culture of training in an organization. And once you get to that level, the world's your oyster. Then you can choose any behavior you want. So I think all of that, all the platform that we have built drives everything that we just talked about.
That also, when you think about this guy doesn't need it, well, he might not need the beginner level training, but no one's absolutely perfect. And so if we had his data and, we were giving him that feedback, which I know is coming soon on an individual basis, we get him that individual feedback. Well, now we know he needs to work on this module, and we can break it down, give him his little module that he needs to work on. We do a team practice. He works on that, executes everything else perfectly. Everyone gets to see him execute everything else perfectly while working on what he's working on, and then everyone else can learn not only the stuff he executed perfectly, but the part that he was really working on, and everyone gets to see that example. So the team practice is really going to be elevating all of these skills, and it's going to be individualized in that someone will be working on what they really need to work on.
Well, 100%, Nolan. You're correct. And the platform does allow for those types of advanced training, too. I'm not saying that just because you've been in an organization for a long time that you're going to know everything. You're going to need the practice as well, but you're also going to need the practice that works for you, right? Maybe I need a little bit more of advanced. So that's where our easy, medium, and hard, scenarios come into play. Large. So that those come into play there where I can challenge myself through the platform the way it needs to be challenged. That got you off guard, didn't it? That did. I can tell.
The large.
Yeah. I can see you're smiling about that one. But so those kinds of things are driven through the platform, and that's what Again, you're out there and. Let's make sure the blocking and tackling is done correctly, but those folks that need a little bit more advanced stuff, it's there for them to be able to, again, sharpen their saw, making sure they're getting better. And I hate to keep going back and using the sports analogy, but it is true. These guys should be trying every day to get better at what their job is.
Yeah, baseball's about to start. We've seen spring training over the last month, and, I don't want to go crazy on this topic.
Yes, you do. You always want to go crazy about baseball.
But you notice that these guys spend the entire off season working on pitches. They don't get out of shape. They're focused on what they're doing wrong. They have all their statistics from the previous year. They even have machines that replicate perfectly what different pitches look like, and when you hit the ball, exactly how far it would have gone in the stadium. They're simulating everything. And what if we had a simulation for, sales calls? Well, we do. It's called PIP learning. And so, our platform really is emulating what sports teams do to get better and providing that service, to eventually all sorts of industries, but right now, the auto industry.
Correct. Yeah. Thoughts?
I kind of wanted to go back to outside trainers a little bit for a second here, if that's all right. Because, we talked about how, right, they come in and we've really hammered home this sort of repeating training, right? Keep practicing, keep going back to it, keep developing your skills. But what about their knowledge? Some outside trainers do know a lot, right? But every single business does things a little bit differently. There might be some things they like, some things they don't like. Is there a challenge there, or is there like a downside to those outside trainers when it comes to that? I mean, they're hopefully you're hiring an expert, but truly, I don't know.
Yeah, you're definitely hiring an expert, right? That has successfully themselves done it.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you then take that knowledge and portray it to new people and just let them able to learn it? It's almost impossible. And that's why you hear all these you see these LMSs that have all these overcoming certain objections and doing it this way, and you got scripts and you got these videotapes, but not everybody's going to have the delivery mechanism as that one individual. So you bring people in from the outside. They want to do it their way. They want to teach it because you're hiring. You're paying all the money for their expertise. But it's not to say that the learners or the people in your organization can learn it or do it even that way. So let them learn the way they are most effective. And that's why we always say that the best people to train an organization are your own people, right? As long as they know how to do it. So our platform gives them the ability. Somebody that really doesn't know how to train, it gives them a master's degree on education on how to do it. And don't waste your money on these people coming from the outside. And I say that tongue in cheek because I was one of those. But I know that it was minimally effective, where there's so much better ways of doing it. And that's what we built inside of MCT. And so those downfalls, bringing so many people from the outside, again, they want to do it your way. Then, God forbid, you ask them, okay, can I get some of your material? It's like pulling teeth, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to allow that because that's their intellectual property. But how many different ways is there to sell a car? Come on, give me a break. How many different ways to take an incoming sales call? Come on.
Yeah,
really.
And thinking about it from like the sports perspective again, how often do they really bring in outside like consultants? Just occasionally, there's certain people that will consult with a team, but usually they're only consulting with like one. Right. Usually you hire a coach who they may have their own philosophies and their own ideas and stuff, but you hope to hold on to them for a long time, right? You hopefully that person stays with your organization, helps them improve, and helps, if you have a quarterbacks coach, I think Green Bay, for example, I hate Green
we
Bay.
have to talk about Green Bay?
Unfortunately.
Come on.
When it comes to their quarterback position, you really
Unfortunately, I
Oh,
hate
that's
Green
probably
Bay.
true.
But they have
As a Bear fan, though, I've been with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's a sore spot for me. But you have to admit they are good at it.
But I wanted to bring that up because they've had that same quarterbacks coach.
Yeah.
Since Favre, right?
Yeah.
Favre, Rodgers, and now Love. And while Love is not Favre or Rodgers by any means, he's gotten to a pretty solid place. And they've had that figured out because they've had that one expert who's come in and helped them again and again and again and again, and
This thing is, he's always in the building, though, so it really
Yes.
more accurately reflects our platform than it would someone who came in once and then left.
Exactly.
Well, guys, if I ask you this, how many football coaches are in the National Football League? How many coaches does every team generally have?
What do you mean by this?
They have a head coach
for each position.
For all positions?
Yeah.
For all the positions, how many total coaches are there on an NFL football team?
Well, it's one for each position is all I'm going to say. I'm not.
So how many different positions are there?
So you have linebackers, defensive line, offensive line, running backs, cornerbacks. I should have probably broken it down by offense and defense.
Probably.
I think there's just defensive backs coaches. So I think that takes safeties and corners, right?
Right.
So that's one. So that's one level. Then you have linebackers. And you have defensive line. So is there only 3 on the defense, or did I miss?
Would you be surprised to know that there's over 40 for every NFL football team?
Not at all.
really, no.
Think about it, though.
But it makes sense.
It does make sense, but but our point is well driven home, is that you're your best coaches and trainers. Everybody in your organization should be a trainer or a coach. Mm-hmm. And that's where the team practice guides come in. Everybody can help everybody. And I'm talking also about humans. We're not talking about AI, because if AI could coach everybody, then we'd all be out of a job. And it's so far from that. We need humans involved in this whole process. And so for an NFL football team that has roughly, 26 starting folks, they have over 50 coaches. Or over 40 coaches minimal. So that's a huge telling of what your organization should be. Mm-hmm. And so stop. They don't, like you said, Ryan, they bring one person in to motivate. That's great. But, when it's fourth down in the fourth quarter and it's the 16th week, is anybody thinking of that motivational guy day one? No, they're thinking of the basic blocking and tackling I have to do to get this 1 yard touchdown. That's what they're thinking about. Well, everything they've coached up until then, the motivational speaker's a long way away, right? And they don't think back to that. So that's the impact a platform like ours can have on any organization, is that it makes sure that everybody's doing the blocking and tackling the right way.
Have you guys ever seen the documentary on the Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl from before this?
I think it did, yeah.
Where Malcolm Butler,
yes,
he practices this exact play, never gets it right, but the coach keeps coaching him on it.
Yeah.
You have to jump that route, you have to hit him and get to the ball. You pursue the ball no matter what. It finally came back to him, goal line play for the Super Bowl. He beats the receiver to the ball, cuts in front of the route, prevents the pick play, interception, and the Patriots win the Super Bowl.
And I'll go back, it wasn't AI, it was human talking to human, coaching them up each and every day, and that ended up being a Super Bowl championship. I do remember that. That was a great show there, and it was a great example of what we're talking about.
Yep. And then, just to piggyback off of like a couple points ago, though, you mentioned this person that you bring in, he might not know exactly how your platform likes to do it. He might be really good. He might even have a good method, but if he gets that one thing wrong, he's training your people to do it wrong on that section. Well, our platform's customizable. So even if our current platform on the topic is one thing, well, when you join us, you can recommend that we change this one thing. Boom, it's changed. Your PDF represents the way you want the behavior done, and then it'll be done.
Yeah, and the other good point of that, Ryan, you brought this up, bringing somebody from the outside, and that is you look at training, you look at education, and you look at how behavior gets changed, right? And people learn in a very simplistic form. I'll say this: they see it here and do it, right? We've talked about that for so long. Yeah. When a person comes in from the outside, or you send your people to a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day seminar, and generally there's so many people at that seminar, the trainer's going to sell it to as many people as they can and get as many people into the room as possible. So you got so many people that the real, number one, right, most important part of see it, hear it, do it is do it. Yeah. So, they're leaving this training with never, ever having to perform the behavior. And it's not, and I'm going to go outside the auto industry. I'm going to go inside this. I just had a very close friend of mine, a doctor of education. She told us that just recently that she went to a seminar, and it was interesting enough it was all about child behavior and troubled child behavior. And it was about, and her feedback to the instructors were, it would have been great to practice this behavior before I left the training, because there was nothing involved in actually them performing the behavior they were being taught. So these outside trainers that come into your organization, or you go to a hotel room or somewhere else to see their stuff, you don't have a chance to perform what maybe is really good stuff. But if you don't perform it, how do you know when you get out to the real world you can even do it? And that's what's kind of crazy about how we approach training in the auto industry is it really is that, hey, let me check the box off. My people are trained, and then I can move on to the next fire or whatever I have to put out. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. Not only that, I mean, we've talked about this a number of times, but what are the odds that they're even going to retain 20% of the information once they get back to school on the next Monday?
They're not.
Yeah, so
we know that they're not. Yeah. They pick up 1 or 2 good ideas. Maybe you're hoping, you're crossing your fingers, and then they can possibly implement it.
Possibly, but then again, they haven't done it yet. So
how do you know?
Yeah,
Besides, by the time they do try it for the first time, they've probably forgotten 90% of what they learned. Right? I think you covered that in one of our videos, didn't you? The attention, or what was it called?
Well,
space repetition.
Space repetition.
Thank you. Way over my head, but yes,
it combats the forgetting curve, where after a day you lose 60%, and after that you lose another 20%. So after 2 days, so let's say you attended training, 2 days later you've forgotten 80% of it.
Yeah.
And then you have no proof that you've been able to implement or actually learn and execute on that 20% that maybe you did retain. Yeah. And who knows if that 20% is useful? Yeah. I mean, what if I only remember fragments of everything? Like, I'm not going to be able to implement any of that.
I mean, I've already thought about, like, if you do part of our behaviors but you don't understand why, that's another thing. Like, if they explain what to do, if they don't explain the why and you never pick up on the why,
right,
you're going to do something, not do the second half of it, and not even benefit your dealer.
And don't even understand why you're doing it or not doing it.
Yeah, it's like
you never understood the why in the first place.
It's like doing the pattern interrupt without the benefit to the customer. It's just like, hold on 1 second.
Let me grab a pen.
Yeah.
Okay, why weren't you prepared when you picked up the phone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's saying. I'm thinking, hey, let me grab a pen so I can better help you out and take really good notes. That's what it should be, but if you forget half of that, you're going to be a real problem. Yeah. It's going to send the wrong message, right? It's the opposite of what you want.
Yeah, then it becomes really ineffective. Yeah, it actually becomes a detriment.
It's like, sorry, I'm actually not even at my desk. Let me get back to my desk, and that's it.
Hold on.
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense, you're right. So,
yeah.
Let's get back to football. Football's over. Basketball, we're in the middle of the NCAA, so we've talked about that a little bit. Again, what do you think some of these Michigan State, Michigan, I'm going to do all Big Ten, you know that, and Illinois, Iowa, what are they all doing today, you think?
I mean, well, probably, if we're being honest, they're probably studying their opponents and doing a little bit of practice. But
Okay. When do you think they're really going to practice? Do you think they go out and shoot around every day?
Yeah.
I don't know that
say,
about
I think
about
they
basketball.
do.
I'm assuming they would. You'd still want to be able to hit your shot. You still want to go practice free throws. You still want to, I mean, some of that goes core basic things. I think you're going to do pretty much every day, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of, like, Kobe Bryant, for example, right?
Uh-huh.
He would show up, I guess, and I'm not a basketball expert by any means, but from what I've heard, he'd show up and, practice his shots constantly.
Yeah.
He'd be there before everybody else.
Well, he'd be there at 4 a.m.
Yeah, he had an insane work ethic to go along with
I heard
it.
Michael Jordan was the same way.
Yeah, I hear Steph Curry's the same way right now.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
So it's they're practicing all the time. I mean, you have to, because here's the thing, right? Especially when it might be helpful if you're learning something to almost look at it as a competition, right? Because for them, they know if they're not out there on that court practicing, somebody's going to pass them up. Whether that's an opponent beating them, right, in the next game, whether that's a teammate taking their starting spot, or wherever it is, right? You're always in competition in some way against your opponents and your peers, right? It's perhaps a cynical way of looking at things sometimes to think of life as a competition, but if you don't practice.
But isn't it though?
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
I've never met a car salesperson that wanted to be on the bottom of the board. I'm sorry, I never met a manager, never met a dealer, I never had a dealer go to me, I was the worst salesperson in the world, but now I own a car dealership. I've never met one.
At some point you're talking survivorship bias, right? The people who are competitive are going to thrive, and especially in that environment. The people who aren't leave the industry and go elsewhere, right? They can't cut it. But I mean, that's going to be true anywhere, right? If you're not somewhat competitive, if you're not pushing yourself forward, right? And that's a lot of the reason these athletes are doing it, is they're very competitive people. And so you almost have to take on that competitive mindset a little bit and think of yourself as an athlete, or think of yourself as you're training.
Isn't everybody competitive with just different levels of degree?
And about different things.
Well, true.
Right?
That's true.
There's some things I certainly wouldn't care about being very competitive about, right?
Right.
If I were to go play basketball right now, I'd be okay with getting my butt kicked. I mean, I wouldn't be happy about it because I never like getting my butt kicked. But, I'd be like, I don't practice.
Right.
So I don't really care that much. But I mean, if I were, I don't know, let's see, I play a lot of video games. Whenever I play League of Legends, that's a great one. That's a 5v5 competitive game. If I get beaten that, I'm pissed. I'm not happy. I don't like that. Nobody likes to lose.
Right. Well, that's why we're bringing gaming into the tool.
That's true. That's why we're bringing gaming into the tool.
One, why? Because people want to have fun when they learn. We know if they have fun when they're learning, we know that it's a better environment from them, and they're going to pick things up. So that's why it's a key to we get that stuff all built out the way we want to in the tool.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway,
I'm excited about that. That's going to be great. Especially the new campaign map that we got coming.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't say that out loud.
Why not?
I don't know. Just didn't want everybody to
They're coming soon.
Coming soon, right? There you go. Good stuff is coming soon, man. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to all that stuff.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention when it comes to like the athletes is not only are they competing with their potential replacement, the opponent, but also themselves. Like some of the best ones, they use their own example. It's like, yesterday, if I could put up 100 shots, why can't I do that today? And if they're doing that every day, they're going to be the best. And I think Jordan had that mindset where,
I agree.
once he was better than anyone else, it was just, am I going to be better than I was yesterday? And you have to keep doing that to really elevate above everybody else.
Yeah.
And help everybody else get better, right? I mean, let's face it, everybody that you talked about, all those great players, they all elevated everybody else around them just through their actions, right? And so it wasn't always verbal, right? I mean, these halls didn't get everybody's face. You don't have to be that way, but if you lead by example and you do those kinds of things, it drives other people's behavior and to get better. That's why we strive to get managers, to the level of understanding when it comes to training. We can if the platform can help them get better at training, then they're better leaders, and then they're, they become more well-rounded than maybe they are today, and that's where the platform's going to help them.
Yeah, it's striking me that everything in our discussion so far today keeps coming back to do it, right?
Yeah.
Seeing it and hearing it
Do
are
it.
very important parts of it, of course, but do it. And whether that's the Nike thing, just do it, or actions speak louder than words, or however you want to phrase it, I mean, you've really just got to pull the trigger and go for it.
Yes.
And that is another, that works it right back to the basketball discussion that we started this whole thing with March Madness. I remembered what my friend who worked for Michigan football always talked about is they would do walkthroughs. That's what they're doing the day before. They have their game plan. Well, you might be able to see and hear your game plan, but you might end up in the wrong spot if you don't do it. That's what they're practicing. They're not just shooting the whole day. They're running their plays that are going to work specifically against this team, and they're doing it in practice so they can do it during the game. They start with slow walkthroughs, then they can go game speed, and then they can do it over, against their
And that
opponents.
goes back to your Seattle example, doesn't it? With that program that you said that identified that one gentleman who practiced that same thing over and over and over again, couldn't make it execute until he hit the Super Bowl, and then he was able to, win the Super Bowl because of that one play. That was really they walk. How many times did they walk through that play prior to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. It's really funny. There's basically during the documentary, they did I guess you could call it, a cut scene where it's like a Rocky scene where
A montage.
a montage of him straight up just not being able to do it 10 times in a row. It just shows him keeping getting picked by the guy. It's like a pick play. He kept getting hit by the receiver.
Yeah.
Could never get there, and then it cuts to the Super Bowl, and you get the intense music. And then boom, he hits the guy, intercepts it, and it's such a good, it's
awesome.
great.
It wasn't great.
Cinematography.
But it wasn't great for New England fans.
All right, Seattle fans, you mean?
Oh, Seattle fans.
Yeah.
Seattle fans. Great for New England
Yeah.
fans.
Okay. I wasn't sure who it was.
No,
I don't remember
it was.
the Super Bowl,
You're right.
to be honest
It
with
was
you,
New England.
but-
It was New England.
So this was
Seattle.
the stage was its second and goal from the one,
Yeah.
and they don't run it with Marshawn Lynch.
That Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I remember that part. I remember everyone complaining that they didn't run with Marshawn Lynch. Well, I complained.
And by the
I
way,
thought it
one
was
of the
crazy.
best. What do you want? Nicknames ever in football?
Beast mode.
Beast
Oh,
mode.
yeah.
You got it. I still think it's one of the best, if not
For
all
sure.
time best. Beast mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was that. But yeah, that
No
was
doubt.
a great example of where they didn't run the beast mode, and look what happened. So
Yeah.
gotta love it.
You do.
Not running with beast mode. That's another thing that our platform has is beast mode. No,
We should consider. Pip is a beast.
Pip
True.
is a beast.
I tell you he doesn't look like a beast, but deep down he's a
little monster.
He's a little monster. Exactly. He
You know,
forces these people
that's
to
the
do
thing.
things.
Yeah, he doesn't even. He's remorseless. He will always tell you exactly what you
He
did
will.
wrong.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's way too accurate for some people. They go, I did do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like you get a 40%. You're like, oh,
Ruh-roh. Yeah.
Ruh-roh, indeed.
That's a very intense ruh-roh. It's like this
Very
is
true.
your living.
Exactly.
You got a 40%. Yeah.
So with that said, who's going to win the national championship, guys?
I'm
Oh.
sticking with Michigan.
Well, that's from a graduate of Michigan.
Mhm.
Okay, there you
Yes,
go.
it is.
Got it. Illinois.
I mean, if we're just going down this route, Michigan State.
All right, there we go. Okay, 2 Michiganders and Illinois. There you go.
There
Makes
you
sense.
But do we think the Final Four could be Purdue, Michigan State, and then whoever makes it out of that, Illinois, Nebraska, or other Big Ten team?
Do I think it could be a straight solid?
Big Ten?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love it to be all Big Ten.
That would be so fun.
That would be so fun.
That'd be awesome. Has it ever happened? I don't think so.
No way.
No, I was going to say no way. Has any
Conference?
conference
Probably
had
not.
that? I don't think so. That's a
That's
good.
a good question.
It's a fun thing to root for if your bracket is broken.
Right, yeah.
Big Ten.
Is your bracket broken?
In our pool, it's not. I could still win our pool if it's Michigan against Duke and Michigan wins. That's the only path.
okay.
Any other path, even if
Any
Michigan
other
wins,
outcome.
I'm not gonna win it. But if it's Michigan over Duke, I think I win. So,
Got it. Okay.
I did the math for that.
I didn't do a bracket this year.
I didn't either.
No,
Yeah.
okay, shame on me.
Yeah, same.
So there you have it. It'll be the Michigan Wolverines, right?
Illinois.
Spartans.
But yeah, good luck to your favorite team, and we'll see you guys after March Madness. Thanks for
right.
listening.